What's going on, guys? We're back with another episode of Garage Game Podcast. Here with me is Prep Baseball, Jamie Tessof. JT, how we doing today, sir?
Good. Hi, Blake. Always good to hear from you. Great to be back on and looking forward to covering the rest of this top 25. We're going to start out with 11 and move on, but I just want to thank you and thank everybody that was a part of our preseason event staff and
Yep.
things like that this year. There was uh, really a lot of talent. We went through over 315 players uh, over 2 weekends and oversold. And next year, for everybody that is curious and things like that, we will have more preseason events next year moving forward. Stay tuned for details, and within the next week, we will be putting out our summer schedule and a little bit of letting the cat out of the bag. We're going to do something a little bit. It's going to be on the fall schedule, which won't come out yet. But in August, we've traditionally had some downtime, and this year we've gotten together with Dan Skirka at Murray State and Eastern Kentucky staff, Western Kentucky staff, with Coach Fournier and Coach Rarden and everybody there, and Jan at Eastern Kentucky and Coach Stepp. Just everybody, Coach Salo, and we're going to do a little campus tour in August during the quiet period. So our guys are going to have an opportunity to go to Murray State if they want. They can go to all three. They're going to have an opportunity to get on these campuses in front of these coaches, and we're going to see how that works. And we felt like it was important for our kids with the landscape, and you know this because you and I deal with it on a daily basis, to do whatever we can for our kids to get in front of these coaches and coaching staffs throughout Kentucky.
Absolutely. Well, we will definitely have another podcast about all that stuff and do that when we get closer to the summer. But we'll jump right into the finish out these rankings 11 through 25. And coming in at number 11 is a team that JT we kind of always put in here, and I think this might be the year that they get it done. And we're gonna go to Frederick Douglass. Douglas is always got the pitching, and I think this year the bats are going to come around, and I think that they're poised for a really good season. Just a couple of guys we want to hit on. I definitely think this year's Kentucky Wesleyan signee commit Gabe Wright is going to really, turn the corner with the bat offensively, and it's a guy that's going to help hit in the middle of that order and get it ready to rock and roll. Braxton Hensley is a guy that's going to be a guy poised to be the number one for to start the season, but that's not to be overshadowed by the next couple of guys that they have on the mound with Martin Vanderplatz and Connor Harris, who we got to see Connor last year or excuse me, last couple weeks ago at the preseason showcase, and he is a big, scary dude on the mound. I don't think he's done growing, so he is a guy that's going to be that Coach Johnson is going to lead heavily on this year. Alex Whitaker's on that team, another two-way guy that can play the corner. Tyler Vanderplatz, Martin's little brother. The roster kind of goes on, and unfortunately we can't get to everybody, but it's a roster in that 11th region who I don't know if you've ever seen it, JT, but of the 11th region is pretty wide open. There's a lot of really good teams, but somebody's going to have to take the bull by the horns and get it done. But Frederick Douglass to start the season is definitely a team to definitely look out for.
Absolutely, and I think it goes without saying, Gabe Wright has been one of our favorite human beings, much
Yep.
less player, since he arrived on the scene, and he really turned the corner last summer. I know his high school numbers don't indicate just how valuable he is to them. He stumbled and struggled around a little bit offensively last year, but listen, this guy really got it figured out in the summer with the Louisville Baseball Club, and started getting some high end interest. And I think it is a really great decision on his part, and really good for Coach Lil Pop down there at Kentucky Wesleyan to land a guy that's going to probably have a chance to compete for playing time immediately, Coach.
Yeah, don't disagree.
You,
Do not
you
disagree.
know, I think another player that I'm extremely high on, and he's one of our top 28 uh, and the 28 rankings will be coming out hopefully here in the next 3 or 4 days. But we're about as all in and as deep as we can get on Connor Harris.
Oh yeah.
The ceiling, like the floor, his floor coach is so his floor is probably above most people's ceiling.
Hmm.
This is a kid who possibly someday, I don't know if it'll be out of high school, but I think he's got a chance to play after college, and he could be a draft someday.
Yeah,
I know it's early to say things like that, but I think it goes without saying how deep we are in on that young man.
absolutely. And I'll let you take the lead on number 12. And it's a team that no longer going to sneak up on you anymore. Coach Kellen Lobb is a fantastic human being, and he does things the right way down there at Larue County. So I'll let you hit this one, JT.
Yeah, one of my favorite teams to watch. They'll bunt, they'll play defense, they'll beat you with the long ball. They're really
Yeah.
really good, and like in some of these guys that we're going to mention here, a couple of these guys we're going to mention. It feels like we have been talking about Decker Thomas and Ryan Hughes, and I mean, it just seems like we've talked about them for years and years and years. And to be honest with you, we have since they were in the
Yeah.
seventh grade. Coach Lobb has a plethora of talent. Did not lose one single inning last year on the mound. And folks out there, listen to me when I tell you this. These are real numbers. We're looking at Cole Miller, 2.62 ERA, Creed Price, 2.69, Braden Singleton, obviously the bell cow of
Mhm.
that bunch, Kentucky commit, going to get some strong draft consideration next year, 6'5", 6'6". He weighed in at his physical almost at 6'6", 247 pounds. Um,
Sure you can't play
I
tight
mean,
end, coach?
he's a grown man. He's a grown man. And he actually had the highest ERA on that pitching staff last year at 2.76. And it goes
Whew.
on and on. Brady Skaggs 1.37. Aiden Seidel, I mean 2.68. Uh, Brady Abel, 137. Hunter Richardson 1.08. So they're coming back, and they're going to be led offensively. The power bat, obviously is going to be Singleton, but I think his future's on the mound. We know that, but they have a guy there that is really, really under the radar that I've spoke to on the phone, and I'm a big fan of his, and I think he's going to get to an event early this summer, and that's Junior Decker Thomas, 429 average, 7 extra base hits, 15 stolen or 19 stolen bases, only struck out 5 times in 98 at bats. Stands in there and takes it, got hit 15 times. Just a dirt ball, if you will. But I mean,
Absolutely.
he's a physical talent, and listen, their offense is going to run through Decker, and
Hmm.
he's got a bullseye on his back this year. And if they're going to get out of that loaded fifth region and make a run at Lexington, Decker Thomas is going to have to sit here and lead the way for sure.
Absolutely. Can't speak highly enough, more any highlier than Coach Kellen Lobb. He does things the right way, and definitely going to have that team ready to rock and roll. Moving right along to number 13, JT, and doing a little prep for this. Beachwood got one of the better rosters that nobody talks about. I mean,
Well, I mean,
they got
they're up there in southern Cincinnati.
yeah, oh yeah. I mean, just taking a peek, obviously you have the big one. You got Tyler Fryman who can just, I don't know, just ball as about as simple as nice as you can put it. Hit 440 last year, 4 homers. Not a lot of strikeouts, which I know that you love, JT. You don't like guys that swing and miss. And then you got Caleb Aerosmith, who's probably poised to really take reins of the pitching staff. They don't lose a whole lot. Solly Carlisle, a couple of these guys coming back. It's a tough region. They made it to the region championship game last year and got beat by a friend of ours, I think, if I'm not mistaken, JT, um, in um, in Highlands. But But yeah, I think it's a team.
Brian Benzinger had Highlands firing on all
Oh
cylinders
yeah,
last
they did.
year. Brian and I, for those of you that don't know, Brian and I grew up together in Cincinnati. We actually played softball after he played at Morehead State. His brother Todd, 12, 13-year big leaguer, won a World Series with the Reds in 1990. Uh, grew up right down the road from each other. Yeah, I was really close with Brian's father, and I still to this day consider him one of the better friends I've ever had. And he
Hmm.
took over for Coach Bione and had Highlands firing. But this for what Beachwood lost, for what Kevin Gray lost last year, about a
Yes.
third of the way through the season, he ended up getting somebody back that most people in Kentucky don't know, and that's Brooks Becker. And Brooks is a Morehead State commit, and he is going to be a handful when he gets to Morehead State. He is as good as it gets. He can hit, he plays defense. His brother, I believe, led the country in home runs a couple of years ago. I believe he's playing some indie ball now. They're going to be they're going to be really really good up there, and
Yes.
in that where are they at in that ninth region up
Ninth
there.
region.
I
Yep.
look forward to seeing them. And before we move on to number 14, uh, folks, if you haven't seen Tyler Fryman play, he's worth the price of admission. And please go see him play, because the next time you see him is probably going to be on television, whether it's in the NFL on Sunday or Major League Baseball. This is a real talent that has a chance to play this game until he has gray hair, whether it's football or baseball.
Hmm.
He's as I tell you who he reminds me of athletically, and I know you and I have said this for a long time. This guy's as athletic as Elijah Underhill was when he came out of Christian County a few
Hmm.
years ago. And Elijah was a
Still
special,
is.
special player.
It still is.
A special guy. But Tyler Fryman, good luck to you, Tyler, this year, and to Kevin Gray up at Beachwood. Kevin Gray is one of my favorite human beings, and I consider him probably a better friend off the field than on the field. We do things outside of baseball, and just a genuinely good human being. So good luck to Beachwood.
Absolutely. And moving right along, a place that you went and visited, a bunch of the guys got to go visit that beautiful facility down there in Bowling Green. They lost a little bit from last year, but don't get fooled. South Warren is still really, really good.
Absolutely, they lost our prep baseball player of the year in Griffin Rardon, who is really really taken off down at Shelton State in Alabama. I don't know if he'll even go back for a second year down there. I've had multiple Division I schools that I've spoke to just call me just to do some cross checking on Griffin, on me knowing him and the Rardon family, and of course his father's the head coach at Western Kentucky, and Mother Dawn is salt of the earth, and Griffin's as good as it gets. They lose him and they lose Ethan Reynolds, and Ethan is finally healthy down there, and he is at Western Kentucky, so he busted into the lineup the other day, and is look for Ethan to start making an impact down there as they move into conference play. But they return a couple of real
Yes,
dudes,
they
man,
do.
and they
Yes, they
return our
do.
number. They return our number 3 in the 28 class, Brandon Perkins Jr., who looks to be finally healthy. I mean, this poor kid's a walking emergency room, Bill. It seems like, and we love Perk, and we love Perk, and he's one of the more talented underclassmen in the country. Packs a lot of dynamite in a smaller frame. Um, Looking forward to Perk being healthy this year in South Warren. Chris Gage does a great job, great job down there, and they're going to be just fine. And we'll see how it goes, but they're going to go offensively through QB1 down there.
Yes.
Camden Page, future games guy,
Yes.
big 6'3", 6'4", 200-pound middle infielder that can jump up on the mound. Uh, a nice season last year for him. Hit 343, more walks than strikeouts, which we know JT loves. You
Yes, we
know, uh,
do.
10 extra base hits, but look for him to really, really take off this spring. And South Warren, look for South Warren to be in the thick of it in what is going to be another wide open region. That fourth region is wide open this year. Um, let's
Absolutely.
move on. Let's move on, and I'll let you take the lead on one of our favorite human
Yes.
beings. And man, oh man, this guy. Every year he tells me how bad they are, and he doesn't have 8 guys that can play a position. And woe is me, woe is me. He acts like Schleprock, the old cartoon
Yes.
character. You
Yes,
kids
he
that don't know
does.
who that is, look up Schleprock. And poor Steve Roof always feels like he's got a thunderstorm cloud above his head, and it just rains on him every day. But he doesn't fool us. Every year he wins
No,
25. Every year he wins
no.
25, 30, 32 games, and they're loaded again this year. It might be a little bit soon, because they're young.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
but listen, they're really really talented, and if they get a couple of these young guys to step up, we very very well in that loaded 11th region, we very well could see them make a deep run in Lexington.
Yeah, so first and foremost, Coach Roof, I did not put you guys here. I always listen to you. I have respect. This is all JT's fault for putting you right here. So we'll get that out of the way. But yes, a team that lost quite a bit on the mound. No more Logan Cobb, no more Ben Murphy, no more Blake Reynolds. A guy that had a really good showcase at JT, I think we've getting some phone calls. Braxton Hicks is back.
Mm-hmm.
Elijah Holleran's going to have to step up on the mound. But I think a big loss for him is Nick Pietro Monaco, and I think I said that right, Nick. I'm so sorry if I didn't, but he's off to a great start at Transy. But Madison Central is, like you said, little on the younger side than most years, but they've got a lot of talent. Another kid that just kind of literally blew up the cage over there at Champions, Kanan Cook, a guy that can really mash. And then two guys that are now on the roster, Tyler Howie and Abram Howard. I mean, adding those two guys is a big boost. Wishing Abram a speedy recovery and getting back out there, and he's getting close from what I hear. So good there. And Tyler Howie's another baller. He's another gamer. So a guy that Steve Roos really going to enjoy having. But another, like we
Yeah,
said, a wide open 11th region. You get some guys that step up on the mound. You get some guys healthy. We know Steve Roof's going to have them fundamentally sound. We know Steve Roof's going to have them in the right position to win and succeed. They went toe to toe with Sayre all the way to the
yeah,
bloody end in the
yeah,
region tournament last year. So I think it's a team that when we like you said, it might be a tick early, but that's okay. But it's a team that definitely can make a lot of noise. And like I said, Steve Root's going to have these guys battle tested and ready to rock and roll. So it should be a good season for Madison Central.
100%. And Kurt, before we move on, real quick, I just want to touch on this Tyler Howie. Tyler Howie, congratulations to you and your family on your commitment to Kent State. I know Jeff
Yes.
Dunk and Zeke Pinkham. Zeke and I have known each other since his Georgia Tech days when he was the volley there, and of course we've known Dunk, friend of the program for years and years and years. And of course, they've got two of our other favorite human beings, Peyton and Brody Williams, up there for at least this year, and Brody's probably going to move on to pro ball after
And
this
Will
year.
Strode.
Yeah, and Will Strode, 100%.
Yeah,
Yeah, I forgot
absolutely.
about that. Sorry about that, Jason. Didn't mean to forget about your boy, but they're up there, and Peyton is doing what we thought Peyton was going to
Yeah, they
do.
all are. They're all doing great.
Yeah, they're really good, and Kent State, big fans of theirs, and Howie's going to do great things up there. He's definitely going to be an impact player for Madison Central.
Moving along to the second region, to one of our favorite people and one of our favorite teams to watch out there, and that is UHA University Heights, led by none other one of the Bash brothers himself, AJ Hogart. So take it away here,
Mm-hmm.
JT.
Yeah, a little coaching change out there, just to let everybody know. Coach Gentry moved on to the private sector and got himself a job that was better for him and his family. And we've got old friend of the program with ours that has worked some events with us in the past. And Mike Crow is going to take over down there for the Blazers. And he, buddy, let me tell you, he walked into a pretty darn good situation
He
down there.
did.
He's got a Hayden Hunt down there who, Hayden will probably be in player of the year considerations, prep baseball player of the year down there. 405 hitter, 17 extra base hits, 20 stolen bases. He's going to bump 88.92 on the mound as well,
Hmm.
1.82 ERA. Then you got the Gibson brothers down there who just seems like they've been around. They remind me of Jude Farley. They've
No,
been
come on
around
now.
forever.
Come on now.
They've
Come
been
on now.
around forever, but they're going to be really really good down there this year. And let's call it what it is. And everybody out there should know me by now. I've been around. It's not my first rodeo, and you know this, Blake. And so I don't sugarcoat anything. Are these guys going to hit or not?
Well, they got one that can really mash. As long as AJ doesn't try to be Superman, if he stays within himself, he should be able to help that a bunch. So that's kind of be the story for a lot of teams. We talk about that a lot, especially when we get to the
Yeah.
end and region pick'ems and state tournament pick'ems. So University Heights, the one I think is that our first second region team, or yep, that is. But don't
Mm-hmm.
get fooled. We got another one right behind
Yeah,
them.
here. One last thing on University Heights. Everybody, listen out there. You can catch University Heights and not have to go to Hopkinsville in Somerset at the Prep Baseball Kentucky
Yes.
Invitational, and you'll get firsthand on the talent down there. This second region squad is going to bring, and we were so excited and so happy to have them. But yeah, and I'll go ahead and lead into this next one here and let you go ahead and take the lead. Our next second region team comes in right behind them at number 17. And boy, oh boy, there's a wealth of talent down here for Cole Isom at Christian County. He's got some transfers that came in there with Hopkinsville losing their program. And he was already going to probably be a top 25 team
Hmm.
without the help that he's got coming in. So go ahead, Blake.
Yeah, Cole Isom, got to meet him at the coaches convention for the first time. He's put together a good staff, and I think it's a team that got a big boost with like what you're talking about. Unfortunately, Hoptown losing their program. He picked up Andrew Mays, who catcher pitcher going to be really able to help him on the mound and defensively and offensively. That's a big boost. He just committed to Ren Lake a couple of days ago, so congratulations, Andrew. And a
Yes.
guy that Will Hannah tells a story that Cole Isom kind of gives him a phone call every now and then and says, "Hey, I think I really got one that you guys are going to enjoy seeing." And Will saw him two or three times last year and told you, "Hey, I think we got a no-brainer future games guy," and that's Big Bad Eddie Davis. I mean, he's a guy that throws thunder. It's a guy that's going to really head up the pitching staff. He's healthy, life's good. He's worked really, really hard this offseason, and he's poised for a big, big season down there with Cole Isom in the second region. And if you catch Eddie on a good day or a bad day, you are not going to have very much fun. A dude that's an absolute buzzsaw on the mound who is you know getting a lot of attention, and it's well deserved.
Yeah,
He's a good young man and good family, and he's something special, that's for sure.
he's 100% probably garnering more interest on the uncommitted front, arm wise, than anybody we have left on the board. And frankly, I'm shocked that he's still on the board. I know he has some offers out there. I'm not going to name who, but we've
Hmm.
gotten a couple of calls. We've gotten a couple of more calls on Eddie here recently. And a quick story on Eddie, and I know I shared this with you. So I work a lot down in Florida with the Florida staff and help out in the South. And I was I did an event with the prep baseball Florida staff at the Scorpions, Orlando Scorpions tryouts, and struck up a pretty good relationship with their general manager, Johnny Goodrich. And Johnny had asked me if I had anybody in Kentucky. He needed another starter. And for those of you that aren't familiar with the Orlando Scorpions, they're traditionally a top 5, top 10 summer program in the country. They churn out Power 5 pro guys every year. And I told him yes. And I showed him some video on Eddie. And he said, let me have his number right now. And they ended up working that out. And so now Eddie is going to be down here with in the South with the Scorps. And as soon as he got signed up with the Scorpions organization, they started making phone calls. And and he's received a ton more interest due to them reaching out. And my phone's blown up, your phone's blown up, and
Hmm.
I think there's a lot more offers coming Eddie's way here shortly. God forbid somebody leaves him uncommitted before the senior future games.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, don't. You know how many pissed off heaters he's going to throw down there if that happens?
Yeah, Eddie's starting to get that I'm the guy attitude on the mound. He has bad intentions, which is something that I say a lot. I look for him to average like probably 2 strikeouts an inning this year.
Yeah,
And he's gonna run it up there. This guy's gonna
yeah,
throw hard before it's all
yep,
said and done. He's gonna throw 95 plus, and there's no doubt in my mind. And
yeah. And
it's coming sooner than later.
and it's a team that had three seniors last year. And I mean, and when you add some guys from Hoptown, I mean, a lot of experienced baseball being played down there in Christian County. Obviously Luden Aiden Lewis hurts. That would hurt for a lot of teams. But
Sure.
I think it's a team that they I'll go around the field, whether it's Christian County last year or Hopkinsville. It's a very experienced team down there in the second region that Cole Isom did a good job last year. Controlling the pitching staff, 45 innings, 40 innings, 32 innings. I mean, not a lot of overthrowing guys, and he gets a couple more guys on the mound this year. I think it's a team that can make a lot of noise. But
Yeah, and I'm not done talking about these guys because I'm going to go a little bit deeper than I thought I was going to with them, and I just want to double check something here. Like you look at Christian County's roster now, and there's a lot of players there. We already touched on Andrew Mays. There's a kid there that I'm a fan of that I think has got a chance, and that's Leighton Lindsay. I
mhm.
look for him to be an impact transfer. I look for Sebastian Daisy to come in this year and kind of lead that team as a senior. Um, there's some yeah, there's some real talent there, and but once again, it's just like I said with our other friends in the second region, and I certainly don't want to forget Gavin Mitchell. Um, but are they going to hit, Coach? Like, are these guys going to hit either?
Yeah, I mean it's just one of those things where when you a little bit pitching heavy, if you can just scrap out a couple, and I unfortunately for the podcast and the listeners, that's not going to be the last time you ask that question in this podcast. I'm going to go ahead and say that right now.
Yeah,
But
that's
moving right along, we're going to stay out in the western part of the state a little bit. We're going to go over to Greenwood, JT. And for those folks that don't know, Greenwood plays great baseball, real great baseball. So you can take the lead here on the old Greenwood staff.
well, Jason Jaggers is always going to have Greenwood ready to go, prepared. They play a very, very good schedule every year. They don't duck anybody. They lost a really, really good baseball player that's kind of bullying his way into the Louisville lineup right now, and Zach Davis.
Hmm.
Zach is not somebody that they're just going to replace. But there's a player down here that's so high up on my radar, and I think this is going to be his year. And even though he's only a sophomore, only logged 11 and 2/3 last year, but this has got a chance to be electric. And I think this is a major, major guy on August the 1st who's going to get the phone rung off the hook, and that's Ethan York. And we look forward to seeing Ethan very, very soon during the high school season. Big 6'3", 6'4", left hand arm. Our friend Cooper Trinkle, our scouting director in Indiana, had Ethan up to 85, I believe, in the fall. We haven't seen him since it was still, in the upper 70s. We know this is going to be something with a 9 in front of it soon.
Hmm.
Um, and we look for Ethan to really, really carry. I wouldn't say carry, but we look for Ethan to be a big, big contributor, and they'll go as he goes, and some of these other guys, and at fourth region, man, a fourth region's good.
And it's
Like it's
tough.
it's it's good. Like it is good. And let's move on to our next team. In that fourth region,
Yeah.
and you want to talk about somebody that hit the lottery? Um, and that's Nate Eisenberg. So Bowling Green lost some last year. They lost Drew. You know,
They
they
lost
lost
Duff.
they lost the Idlet brothers, and they lost some guys, but they're returning some talent. They got another Eisenberg coming in there, and
Yeah.
Colt is really really good,
Yes,
and
he is.
Colts everybody's going to know in a hurry, just like they did with Big Brother with Drew, who is doing really really well up there. I believe he's at Ren Lake also, but man, they hit the jackpot with a guy that finally is going to play high school baseball in Kentucky. That's resided down there in Warren County, and he played with an academy for a long, long time. And it's one of our favorite arms that I ever took to the future games.
Cat's out of the bag.
Undersized, undersized left hand arm, and this guy is a real tough guy. And
Dude.
Belmont commit, and he is going to throw immediately
Oh, yeah.
down there at Belmont. He turned down some much bigger schools, and that's Jack Cowan. You got anything on Jack you want to touch on?
Explosive stuff. Don't be fooled with size or stature. It'll be interesting to see, getting into the high school realm, getting into um, getting new team. Nate Eisenberg's going to do a wonderful job with him. So, he's in great hands there. And a really open fourth region, a team that um, got beat kind of early last year, JT, got beat early in the district, by South Warren, which, that stinks, drawing them first, right? But a team that you go back and look, you know, beat Apollo 1-0, beat Highlands 9-8 early, lost to St. X 8-9 in 9 innings. I mean, it's a team that can scratch and claw, and all of a sudden, you give them Jack Cowan, a guy that's going to be, upper 80s, low 90s, good carry on the heater, and an absolute explosive breaking ball, and a guy that can man both sides of the plate. Uh-oh. Now what are you supposed to do? So,
Yeah, yeah, and I think they're going to be fine. Nate will do a good job with them, we'll see how he lines them up 1 through 8, out there defensively,
mhm.
and how they're going to hit. But folks, I got to tell you this right now. It's like to touch on what Blake said. They lose in extra innings to St. X. They run ruled a very good Adair County team in 4 innings,
Yes, they did.
turned around, beat Owensboro Catholic last year, uh, split during the regular season with South Warren, lost in 8 innings to a very talented Christian County team, you know, split with Greenwood. So, I mean, beat Russell County in 9 innings, like, beat Barron County. Like, these guys play everybody.
Yeah, they
Like
do. They're
Nate
not scared.
Eisenberg will line it up, and that's what I love about the fourth region. Like Warren East, all of them down there. Greenwood, Jason Jaggers, they will line it up. And Jason on opening weekend is going to have Trinity down there. He's going to have Highlands down there. A talented Prestonsburg team is coming down there to play at Hot Rod Field. So, hey guys, if there's any coaches out there that are complaining about teams not playing them or anything like that, make a phone call down there into the fourth region to Warren East or to Bowling Green or Greenwood, and you'll find a dance partner.
Hmm.
No problem. They'll be happy to oblige you. Um, let's move on to our number 20 team, and this is a team that went to the state tournament last year. Uh, had some ups and downs, but kind of peaked at the right time. Winners in the last regular season, my goodness, I can't remember what it was. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 6,
20, wasn't it?
9,
19 or
12,
20?
15, 16, 18, 20, 20. Won 22 of their last 23 games before getting beat by Boyd County and Grant Slater
Who's
in the
Grant
state
Slater?
tournament. They win 22 out of their last 23. And that's Adam Blair's Boyle County squad. 28 wins for the Rebels last year, returning another plethora of talent. Um, on the bump, they're going to be led by Caden Patterson, 70 innings last year, a workhorse on the mound, 93 strikeouts, won 9 games, 1.29 ERA. Troy commit. Um, but they've got some position guys that we really like, and the one is future game standout, and a guy that we've adored watching play for years. Kyler Claunch, hit 443 last year. Don't let the smaller stature fool you, folks.
Lord, no.
That place is not easy to hit home runs in, and he bumped into four last year. And I would not be shocked. I don't think it's a stretch, but I wouldn't be shocked if Kyler runs into possible double-digit home runs. He's a real extra base threat. 21 stolen bases, uh, only 12 strikeouts and 122 at bats. Really, really solid. He's going to anchor that defense up the middle at shortstop, and then he's gonna have to pitch a lot for them behind Caden. He'll probably be the number two. Um, although they have a very, very talented freshman there that might bully his way into that pitching rotation and force his way at the top of that rotation with Merrick Cornelius. You know, probably, and Cole Jarnigan. Just so everybody knows, he's going to probably be up the middle with Kyler Claunch, and he'll move over to shortstop when Kyler pitches. But those two will form. It's not an if. They will form one of the top up the middle duos in all of Kentucky. Uh, Somebody's going to have to prove me wrong if they might not be the best. Not
Yeah,
saying
and
they are.
you got to add in Carter Stapp too. Carter Stapp just
Mm-hmm.
committed to I think Wabash, or I think that's right. Sorry,
Yes.
Carter, if I got that wrong. Yeah, so I mean, he's another guy that can play up the middle, and move some guys around. But definitely top heavy on the mound, but they're good. It's a
Yeah,
team.
they're good.
It's a
And
team
let's
in the 12th region that can really really play. And we won't go too much further without talking about my nephew.
Well,
Um,
here, hang on. I'm going to take this here, and Logan, I promise you, I wasn't going to forget you, man. I thought
I
about trying to
would.
be funny. I thought about trying to be funny and moving on and putting your uncle in a bad spot here, but I'm not going to do that. But
I'd have worn it. That'd have been fine.
yeah, folks, I'm telling you this right now. This Logan Perry is another one worth the price of admission. He got it all figured out last summer and in the fall. It's high school numbers don't dictate what this kid's going to do this year. I look for him to hit probably 400 or better. He's going to anchor center field. This is a D1 guy. Like he's a D1 or a upper JUCO guy. This guy here is going to make whatever program he ends up committing to, and I'm not going to go into what the phone calls you've received because that's not really anybody's business out there. But I know he's hot and heavy on the recruiting trail, and for those that aren't on him, you should be.
Hmm.
For those colleges, especially in Kentucky and in the surrounding states, Indiana, Tennessee, Ohio, West Virginia. If you're not on this guy and you're not watching film and you're not making phone calls on this guy, shame on you. I mean, truthfully, shame on you because this kid's really, really good at baseball.
Yeah, and before we move along, there's one other kid that we probably need to mention on the mound is Andrew Holder, a guy that
Mm-hmm.
was inconsistent's not the right word. I mean, he threw a lot as a sophomore, 32 innings and a 4.38. I mean, he's good. I mean, I got to see him up close and personal late in the year. Last year, he's mid to upper 80s, and I mean, it's a cat that can really get it going on the bump and add some relief to Caden and Kyler. And um Patrick Cooper trains him and he speaks very highly of him. Might take him a little bit to get going after basketball season. They're in a region tournament right now, which love two sport athletes. But he's a guy that definitely need to keep an eye on the bump for them, along with Merrick, who guys that can just kind of come in, like you said, just bully their way into playing. But it's a very highly touted team, and they should be, and they're very good. And you said it earlier, they're going to be down there, and you're at the prep baseball tournament down there in Somerset, and
Can't
playing
wait.
Henry Clay and somebody else. And I mean, it'll be good baseball for them, and it'd be good. And definitely a team to watch. They're top heavy on the mound, and gonna need some help, on with the sticks. But like you said, Carter Staff and Cole Jarnigan are gonna give that team a
Yeah,
massive, massive, massive boost with the stick. And
100%.
Logan had a full off season, so that's great. And Kyler's just a warrior. Sign me up to coach him every
Yeah.
single day of the week. So,
Yeah, and with Merrick, just so you folks know, Merrick is one of our top players in the freshman class. In Kentucky and nationally.
hmm.
This is a national guy. Not only is Merrick Cornelius a highly sought after by our staff in Kentucky, he's sought after by myself, Cooper Trinkle, Shooter Hunt, the guys on our national staff, Caden Hatcher down here in Florida. They've all seen him and looked at video and things like that, and I share it with them and ask what their thoughts are, and there's not a whole lot of negative coming out of Merrick Cornelius. So looking forward to seeing Boyle County early at our invitational, and it'll be really, really nice. We're going to see, high quality arm with Patterson coming out there, and somebody's going to have to deal with that early in the year.
Hmm.
And hopefully we get some warm weather like we did last year. I'm not counting on it, but I feel bad for somebody if it's going to be 45 degrees out and they're going to have to run into a couple of those arms down there.
For sure. But moving right along to team ranked 21st, we talked a little bit about them earlier, beating a couple of our teams ranked ahead of them. And JT, that's Highlands. And for those of you that do not know, Highlands, do they have the best returning hitter in the state, JT? Um, and
Man, I'll tell you what, somebody's going to probably have to prove me otherwise. If listen, and you know how I am, Blake. I don't ever sit here and say somebody's better than another. I'll say this: Brooks Hendricks, and I'll be as politically correct as I can. Brooks Hendricks is one of the top hitters returning in Kentucky,
mhm,
and is certainly, and it'll come out. It'll come out this next week when we do our Player of the Year contenders and front runners and
yep,
things like that. Brooks Hendricks is at the top of not only my list, your list, Will Hanna's list, Carter Floyd's list, Jeremy Bione's list, everybody affiliated on our staff, Patrick Cooper. Brooks Hendricks is at the top of that list. Folks, this guy hit 578 last year with 18 extra base hits, but he hit 3 home runs in the postseason. He hit a home run in the state tournament completely out of the stadium at Kentucky
that place
that
is a
darn,
graveyard.
darn near destroyed a maintenance truck in left center field. He didn't miss one bit of it. 21 stolen bases. There's plenty of juice. He was a standout for us at the senior future games. So that ought to also tell you all how much we think of Brooks Hendricks. We only take 11 or 12 guys for the senior future games, and Hendricks went down there and was really good for Cooper Trinkle and I with our Midwest team with Indiana and Kentucky. And just so another thing, just so everybody knows, after the senior future games last year, for players that want to attend this, Cooper and I put together a team last year that after the senior future games, we had the second most amount of Division I commits at the senior future games, and that's with California, Florida, Georgia, all those players being there. So Cooper and I know what we're doing, and we get the exposure for those kids, and it's paid off for us. Our success rate down there is really good. Um, I want to move on to one more player here before we get out of there.
I'm gonna hit on one thing with Brooks Hendricks that you didn't, and I'm not saying you didn't cover him very well because you did. Folks, Brooks Hendricks struck out 3 times last year.
Yeah, 90.
3. And over 100 at bats. 3 times.
Yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem for here. So I'm going to piggyback off that. So arguably, once again, I won't ever say it's the best. Arguably the best defensive catcher I have seen in 8 or 9 years that I've been doing this in Kentucky that has come through, and the guy can hit too.
Yeah,
Don't be fooled.
I agree.
Small in stature, but arguably the best defensive catcher that I've had the privilege to be around, and another great kid. Kai Anderson went down there to the
Yes.
future games with us last year and was absolutely outstanding. So Kai only struck out 6 times last year.
Hmm. And hit
So
above 300.
you look at the two leaders of that team last year, and these guys struck out. So they had 24 walks between the two of them with only 9 strikeouts in basically 165 official at bats.
Yep.
So they're going to make you work for it. Brian Benzinger up there, knows what he's doing. Like I said, Brian and I have known each other for years. He'll have those guys prepared. They always lose a lot.
They lost a
All
lot on the
those,
mound. They lost
all
48
those schools,
innings, 44 innings, and 40 innings, all of
yeah,
the seniors, and all had under 2 ERAs. So they're going to need some help there. But
all those schools up there, yeah, all those schools up in the ninth region are always senior and junior heavy. That's just the way it works up there. You don't see freshmen play. You don't see junior high school players play with the high school team. Freshmen do not play there. Drew Rom, I
he
don't
didn't play.
believe. And Drew Rom did not play as a freshman. Folks, Drew Rom was a fourth round draft pick and threw a
Big
gazillion
leaguer.
miles.
Big leaguer.
Big leaguer. You
Yeah.
know, so they're always going to lose a lot. So it's not really it's just a reload situation in northern Kentucky for
Mhm.
Highlands and Beachwood and schools like that up that way. So let's move on. And now we're gonna get into what I think is one of the better pitching staffs. And I think a lot of these guys come to you, and for the ones that don't, you know them. Let's move on to our number 22, and that is North Oldham.
Yeah.
Um,
Just a
offensively
buzzsaw.
challenged every year,
Very much
offensively
so.
challenged every year, but they are so loaded on the mound every year that man, they can beat you 4-2, 3-1. They can score 12 runs in 5 games in a week and go 5-0.
Yeah. And it's a team, when you take away Ryan Sanders, who threw 60 innings and had a sub 1 ERA, who we talked about potentially pitcher of the year for us last year in prep baseball. But it's a pitching staff that is still ridiculously loaded. And then you add Hayden Barnett and EKU commit to the mix. Now
Mm-hmm.
it's even more loaded. We can start off with Gabe Kersey, a guy that's going to run it up upper 80s, low 90s. That's getting significant interest right now. Explosive stuff was really good at our preseason showcase. And a guy that I brag about all the time, and I think it's a kid that for all of you guys that are out there that are freshmen or sophomores or maybe even juniors like he was, and still kind of going through puberty, still trying to let the body catch up. And Caden Dickout is an absolutely man child now. I mean, he is grown. He is a kid that's going to throw gas, and he's not scared of nothing. So you have with Caden, Gabe, and Hayden Barnett. I mean, the list kind of goes on, and we haven't even, we haven't even gotten to some of the other guys on their pitching staff. But with those three guys, I mean, those dudes can carry it. And like you said, they might score 5 runs in a week and go 5-0, and nobody would be shocked. Logan Cox is there. Jackson Bowen is there. I mean, they got plenty of arms to make a deep, deep run. But, you lose your two best hitters last year on the team, three best hitters on the team last year. You're going to have to find a way, somehow, some way to score some runs because the team, at the southern part of the county can really get after you with the stick. And we'll talk about them in just a minute. But, I mean, just North Oldham, hang on tight if you draw them early. If they were make it out of the eighth region and you get them in the first round of the state tournament, JT, I mean, you can walk out there and have three cats throwing upper 80s, low 90s at you, and it might be the 12th inning and it might be 0-0, and they still got them coming out of the bullpen. So I mean, they're pitching heavy, but it's a team that I think could make a run if they can find a way to scrap out some runs.
They'll beat you up. I mean that's just the way they're a bunch of bullies on the mound. Like they really are. They're bullies on the mound. But they did get a guy that came in. They got a guy that came in that I'm a big, big fan of, and it's going to help them offensively, and that's Beckett Labar.
Yeah.
And Beckett is there now, and I know that was a big deal, and it was a big loss for South Oldham. But moving on from North Oldham, why don't we just continue talking about our number 3, and we'll talk about South Oldham.
Yeah,
So,
we'll get right back into South Oldham, right? I mean,
new
right.
coaching change there.
And good for them, by the way, getting Ryan Wheat to come back out. Good for them.
Yeah, they got Ryan Wheat to blow the dust off his coaching britches and our buddy is back out there, and we're really, really lucky because Ryan does a great job behind the scenes, helping me, personally with players and with junior future games guys and turning us on to some players that aren't household names, and sharing them with you and myself and things like that. A dear friend of the program, and Wheat's going to have these guys ready to go. So as much as North Oldham is pitching heavy, these guys here can mash, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like this team here is going to hit and
Yep.
hit and hit. Now, for as much as we're worried about North Oldham being able to hit, a little worried about these guys being able to get out there on the bump, and they might have to win a lot of games 8-6, 7-5, things
Yeah,
like that.
I
But
think, but
hey, listen, they're going to be capable of doing that, Coach.
yeah, they got a guy though that didn't throw a lot last year. And they got a guy that did throw a little bit last year that had a really good year on the mound. Carter Stellar is a kid that he's just a gamer, JT. You kind of watch it in bullpen sometimes. You're like, yeah, it's solid. Then all of a sudden you get reports of it ticking up a little bit more in games, and he's got two different types of breaking balls. And Carter Stellar, probably going to have to be the 1A/1B option before I get to the next guy that we're huge fans of. That's the next guy at South Oldham that's just going to be an absolute workhorse. But Carter Stellar's going to have to step up big. He threw 22 innings last year. He's going to have to throw a lot more for these guys to really compete. But a guy that is just going to have to take the bull by the horns is Gabe Donley. Gabe Donley, I know, still not where he wants to be, because he works so hard. He's always in the weight room. He's always wanting to get better. Gabe he is a fantastic kid, always smiling, but you don't let the quirkiness off the field get to you, because when he gets out there on the mound, he is an absolute bulldog. So those two
He's a
cats are
mean
going to have
dude,
to.
man.
Those two dudes are really, and he's kind of like the next in line. 2 years ago you had Keegan Vorster and Davis Gunn. Last year you had Davis Larson and Caleb Jones. These two guys could be the next two guys in line to kind of really carry the pitching staff. But don't let those two guys get overshadowed with the absolute damage Keith Mitchell is going to do in the box.
Ugh.
I mean, talk about the winner of the genetic lottery. I mean, he's a grown man. He's physical. He's fast. He's strong. He can play any type of corner position you would like. Memphis commit. I mean, just an absolute freak of nature and a dude that's physical. And I'm really anxious to see how Coach Wheat, really gets him turned around in the box. He had a great summer, but Ryan Wheat's going to do awesome stuff with him, and this guy's going to look for Keith Mitchell to absolutely explode this year, for South Oldham.
Yeah, it goes without saying. There's nobody in Kentucky that knows me that doesn't have a full understanding of how big of a fan. And I'm not a fan of players.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong. I am a fan of Keith Mitchell. If I didn't do this for a living, I would still go and watch Keith Mitchell play baseball.
Yeah.
Like he is so fun to watch. At the future games this last year, the dugout gravitated to him. It's an infectious smile. A really good person, but boy, I'm telling you, man, high IQ, but man, he is nobody to play with.
No.
I mean, he is all business between the lines, and you don't want to grab hold of that. I promise you.
No.
I promise you. But we're really all in on Keith Mitchell. And the last thing I'll say about Keith, and I don't mean to put a bullseye on him, I will not be shocked whatsoever. Actually, I'll be shocked if it doesn't happen. Keith Mitchell is going to get draft interest next year, Blake Perry.
Mm-hmm. No arguments from me. But I have to tell you what, if you're in that eighth region and you can have a day where you can go watch North and South Oldham line it up against each other, you could see some real dudes there, on the mound and out in the field, depending on where you're at. I mean, that is going to be great baseball.
Yeah.
There.
Don't forget Peyton. Hey, Blake, don't forget Peyton Lane at South Oldham.
No.
I mean,
yeah,
electric. Just electric.
Yeah, two opposites attract, right? So hopefully we get those guys matched up 3 times this year. That'd be really, really cool. But
I can absolutely assure everybody out there in Kentucky, like, it might not be when the weather is cooler by any stretch, because I will want to make sure that the arms are lathered up and ready to go. But you can guarantee that I personally will probably I'll probably drag you along. We will probably go watch those two teams play each other if we have a chance and you have an off night.
Yeah, won't have to ask me twice.
Yeah.
As long as Coach Wheat puts us up in the press box, maybe a Gatorade or two.
Yeah. Definitely got to have a heater, man. It's too cold
Sometimes
for
around
me.
here, it's 75 degrees here today, but Tuesday next week's gonna be 40, so you never know around here.
For sure.
So,
Let's go on to let's get this wrapped up and let's move
absolutely.
on to our last two teams in our top 25, and we're going to let everybody in Kentucky go. But number 24 is an under the radar squad that's not a household name traditionally in the top 25, at least the last few years, but they were really, really, really good. And unfortunately, COVID wrecked the year to where Jeremy thought that they had a real shot at contending for a state title.
Mm-hmm.
And that's our Breckinridge Tigers, Breck County. And, another team that's offensively challenged for sure. But there's a couple of guys on the mound, and one of them should be ready to go in a few weeks. He probably might not be out there to begin of the year, but the buck stops with one of my favorite arms in Kentucky, and this guy here might spin the best breaking ball. Actually, he's got two distinct ones. Might have the two best curveball, best slider that I don't know. Maybe you and I have had.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it spins it up there like Jake Faraday did,
but
he doesn't throw 100. But he doesn't throw 100. And that's Tristan Wicker.
Yeah,
Tristan Wicker is a workhorse. He'll be a junior this year. 73 in the third innings. 95 strikeouts, 1.05 ERA, was a future games invite for us last year and had some fatigue going on. So thought better of it, and unfortunately we didn't get to show him off in front of the country, but nonetheless, everybody knows who Tristan is now, and one of our favorite guys. And this guy can pitch. Like, this guy can really pitch. And don't be fooled. He still runs it up there.
mm-hmm.
Like, he's going to run it up there 86, 89. I won't be shocked this spring. He's probably going to take some nines and things like that. But he has some really, really, and this is not a word that's accurate enough to describe it. He has vicious secondary offerings. And that's changeup, slider, and curveball. 3 distinct movements. The changeup's got some depth. It's got bite to it. He kills spin. He runs 11, 7, 12, 30, 630 true curveball. That's
Mm-hmm.
a downer. And he's got that tight gyro, almost cutterish slider that, he'll run that thing up there 3,000 RPMs.
Yeah. And his teammate's not too bad either.
No.
Get him rocking and rolling again on the bump. I mean, that's a two-headed monster you probably don't want any part of. And it's a team that last year, JT, kind of had they probably don't think it's an upset win, but they beat Owensboro Catholic in the semifinals of the region, and then they went toe-to-toe with Lucas Hale in Meade County, and unfortunately lost in the third region championship game in 10 innings. So I mean, they were a bounce here, bounce there from being at KPP last year.
They were an out away, bud.
Yeah,
they were an out away.
That's terrible. That stinks.
Yeah.
But I mean, but Hayden Henry's another guy that he gets healthy and he gets rocking and rolling. I mean, he's another guy that you got to showcase a little bit last summer. Long, lanky arms and legs everywhere, but it comes out clean, and it's going to be jet fuel one day. But once he gets rocking and rolling, those two guys are going to be tough outs. Late in the season, everything's working along, but offensively, where do you go? Hayden Henry hit 388 last year. Who's going to help? Somebody's going to help. Somebody's got to help.
Big fan of center fielder Adam Howell. Have been for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
26 stolen bases. He's going to have to be the table setter at the top of that order. And Adam and Lucas Harper stealing 22 bases last year is probably it's probably going to go through those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Harper comes back. They get Harper back, they get Howell back, and those two guys, 48 stolen bases between the two of them. They're going to have to manufacture runs, and Jeremy does a great job down there. Those guys are going to bunt. They're going to put it in play. And they're probably not going to sit here and score 10 or 15 runs very often in a game, but they're going to catch it. If Scout Henry gets back on the bump for them, and Wicker gets a little bit of relief out there, they're going to be a handful. And another team, folks, that will be in Somerset at our invitational. So if people are out and about and you want to come see Tristan Wicker spin a breaking ball and wow you and knock your socks off, for lack of a better term, come and get you some of that, because he's really fun to watch. He's a competitor, a quiet assassin, if you will, on the mound. Like, just he's mean. He's just not very nice to you. He's just a mean dude, man. So,
but
good luck to Breck County and Jeremy and them, and go ahead and take the lead here, Blake, because I know this is something you need to do.
Yeah, last team in 25, number 25, the Henry Clay, the Blue Devils. I'm gonna put it really, really nicely. John Thomas and Alex Elmadollar, you're gonna have to carry the load on offense, boys, because this pitching staff is deep and this pitching staff is good again. And I know we kind of say that all the time about this team, and I think these guys are poised to be really, really good in the 11th region. I know we have them in 25. I know some people at Henry Clay might be offended. Prove us wrong then, right, JT? Prove us wrong. But they get
just hit.
Yeah,
just hit.
That's it.
Please,
yeah.
I'm begging Blake.
Yes.
Please prove me wrong, guys.
Absolutely.
I mean, please prove me wrong. And there's not a player on that team that I don't like on a personal level. I love the staff there. And listen, please make me look like an idiot. I welcome it. I absolutely welcome it. And and look, for people that are wondering, or for people get offended, at Henry Clay and things. Hey, I get it. And I welcome the criticism. Bad publicity for me is good publicity, because that means, at least you're paying attention enough to value at least what my opinion is, whether you like it or not, and your opinion, because you help with this, and so does, and of course they're not here to defend themselves. So I'd probably rather sit here and blame this on Will Hanna, Hannah, and Carter
give
Floyd,
him a call. Give them a call.
Floyd. So
yes.
log the complaints, because if you call HR, you're just going to get my number.
Yeah.
And it's probably not going to help you.
Yeah.
But no, we're really excited for Henry Clay, and we have 5 teams in the 11th region ranked in the top 25. 5. And to be honest with you, they're pretty darn interchangeable. Like, I won't be shocked if any of these 5 end up making a Final Four run, or a all the way to the finals in Lexington. Any of them.
I mean, it's
flip a coin.
It's a team that's got some experience back. JT Ritchie, Frontier two-way commit. He's going to carry. He's going to be the table setter, and he's going to make sure the offense goes. Alex Elmadollar's healthy. We all know what Mr. Elmadollar can do on the offensive side of the ball, like elite bat speed, and he's got a lot of juice. They do. I didn't realize this until I just looked at it. Garrett O'Donnell didn't play at all last year. So they get Garrett O'Donnell back, which is a huge boost in the offensive side of it. Hanover commit. So glad G's back. Luke Jackson got a lot of experience last year, hit 270. He's another guy that, can help behind the plate, but can help on offense. Parker Mays is going to step up. Fearson is going to have to step up on the offensive side of the ball, but I think they have enough. And maybe by playing a lot of games at the Lexington Legends field, maybe that's what does it for him, JT. Maybe that gets him over the hump. but it's a pitching staff that's deep, and it doesn't go much farther than Turner Sparks and JT Ritchie. Two frontier commits, two kids that throw a bunch of strikes and will flat, you know, beat you on any given night. No questions asked. They still
Yeah,
have Jack Veers. He's still there. Tanner Ross is a young kid, left-handed kid on the mound that's going to help out. Parker Mays may help out a little bit here, but a guy that I think had a good showcase and a good offseason is Braden Brand. That's a kid that's going to be that can really help them win some games on the weekend, and when they get into a pinch and some district or region games later on, he's going to be there. So it's a team that has everything right in front of them. They've got all the tools, they got all the guys, they got all the coaching staff. But just to go enjoy the season, boys, and go play. But definitely a team worth watching at the prep baseball event in Somerset. That's for sure.
can't wait. Can't wait. So excited. And to touch on Turner and and JT. JT Ritchie was a standout at the senior future games for us. Really, really good. Um, those guys there are they're really hard to beat. They
Mhm.
go deep into games. They pitch backwards. Like they know how to pitch. Like JT will go through the first time through the order and he'll pitch off fastball. Second time through the order, he'll pitch off breaker. Like he's given you different looks in at bats. When he's got if Turner and JT have two of their pitches working and they're pitching that way, they can get away with just two pitches and get through the order three times. Because your
Mhm.
third time up, if you get to a third time up with them, you're so darn confused after your first two at bats, then you're just guessing. And
Yep.
so you better guess right, or you're
Yeah,
gonna walk
right.
back to the dugout again.
Yeah.
You know.
But it's a team that has two of the top tier arms, maybe outside of Sayre, once Gary's really healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
think they can go toe to toe with just about anybody. And like you said, you know, Madison Central, Sayre, Catholic, Frederick Douglas, Clay. I mean, that 11th region, it's good. It is good. Like when we say it's wide
Yeah.
open, that doesn't mean that's not a knock on them. It's good. Just one of these teams, gonna have to step up and win. Like you said, if you get the right draw and you steer clear of a few teams early on, you could find your way in the second weekend or even in the championship game real easy with these kind of lineups.
What a shame the 42nd district we only get two of the three out of there, or two of the five, whatever it
Oh
may
yeah.
be.
Oh yeah.
What a crying shame.
Yeah.
But
Part of
you
being in
know
Fayette County.
all five, yeah, all five of those teams in that 11th region that we have ranked. And listen, there's more in that 11th region. Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
not just them. Like there's more. But the thing that makes that region probably more unique than any other in Kentucky is that these guys all know each other. None of them are afraid of each other.
Hmm.
Like there's nobody sitting here pounding their chest, intimidating somebody else. Like if you pound your chest at Alex Elmadollar, he's going to sit here and laugh at you and tell you to shut up.
Hmm.
If JT Ritchie pounds his chest over at Cannon Cook at Madison Central, Cannon Cook's going to tell him to sit down and shut up. You know,
Hmm.
and I mean that's the way it is, and that's why it's so fun to watch them play when they hook up. And they're really really good every year when we go to Georgia. We always have an influx of 11th region players at the future games, and there's a reason for that. Lexington is very, very baseball rich, and man, it's going to be fun this year, Coach.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, that rounds out our preseason top 25. Definitely looking forward to March 16th for opening day. Definitely looking forward to seeing everybody out there. Definitely looking forward to seeing all these kids show off what they've done this offseason. Like it's preseason. We'll get after these a couple times a month, probably, JT, give everybody a quick update on how is everybody's doing. Probably going to be back one more time with potential preseason player and pitcher of the year, and we'll talk about that. But best time of the year, JT, it's March, and baseball season's 10 days away. So
I'm
if you have
excited.
if you have any final thoughts before we end this thing, now's the time.
No, I mean, I thank you for your time, and I love doing these things with you and I. And Will and Carter unfortunately weren't able to make it, but you know, lobby complaints to those guys, I
Yes.
guess, and
Yes.
not Blake or myself. They're not here to defend themselves, but no, we look forward to seeing everybody, and make sure you say hi when you see us out there. And you know, we're just we're just regular guys, just like everybody else that just happen to have a job that a lot of people wish they had. Um, but no, we're excited, and hopefully the weather is good when we get up there, and everybody can get off to a good, healthy start. And cannot wait, Blake. Just cannot wait for our invitational down there. Can't wait to see you and I's good friend Phil Grundy. It's
Mm,
always quality entertainment there, and
absolutely. I get to see him next
get
Saturday first, so
yeah, get the Somerset. Oh, that's right, you do get him right out of the gate. But
yep.
yeah, looking forward to getting back down to Somerset and seeing our friends there, and hosting our second annual invitational, and bigger and better things to come with that. And other than that, I'm good. Thank you to all the parents, players, high school coaches, yourself and Austin Kearns. Big shout out to Ryan Wheat, Rick Arnold, Andy Porta. Too many to name.
Hmm.
Zach Hobbs, for all these guys calling and answering. Nate Eisenberg, Jody Hamilton,
The goat.
Jeremy Show. Yeah, I mean the list goes on and on, because just so everybody knows that when we did these rankings, and when we do these, I would like for everybody to know, hey, we reach out. I talk to the high school coaches about player rankings, and I know everybody comes down on me, and justifiably so in some cases, and think that I'm off on player rankings or team rankings. Just know that we reach out to summer coaches, we reach out to high school coaches, and you just heard me name a list of guys, and they give me honest opinions. And the only way for us to ensure that we're trying to maintain the highest amount of integrity for Coach Perry and myself, and everybody on our staff, we really do as much as we can homework wise, by trying to have good relationships with high school coaches and summer coaches and things like that. So I just wanted to make sure everybody understood that there's a process to everything. It's not just me sitting
Hmm.
here saying it's my way or the highway, because it's not, and it's
Hmm.
not going to ever be that way. I don't lead that way. I don't want to lead that way. And everything that we do at Prep Baseball Kentucky is a direct reflection of the outstanding staff that, not that I have, and nobody will ever hear me say that, and people have heard this, that you have. It's the outstanding staff that the players and the parents that you have, that I have helped create, and all of us are very thankful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, JT, I appreciate you as always. And that is going to do it for another episode of Garage Gang, and that is going to do it for Prep Baseball's Top 25. So I appreciate you, sir.
Always good to see you, Blake. Thank you.